everyone, it's Kristie with AG Takes Over. I'm glad that you're here. If you are here for the first time, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. So the title of this sounds pretty serious, right? The biggest influencers in the American Girl community and why they're kind of toxic. So if you're clicking on this and you've never watched my channel before, you're probably like, okay, some strong teas coming. Like I'm going to trash people on here. But if you're a regular viewer, you already know that's not my style. So what I'm talking about when I say influencers are factors, things that are influencing us here in the AG community as collectors. And how sometimes they're perfectly fine and innocuous, and other times, yeah, they can be toxic. So I came up with 7 of them. I'm sure there are more. That's a good way for you to interact, is to add some in the comments or comment your thoughts on the ones that I list. So anyway, yeah, I came up with 7, and I didn't really have a sense of like, this is the most egregious and this one's the least influential or vice versa. So I just put them all in a randomizer online, and the order that I'm going to cover them in was chosen at random. So, oh, by the way, please give this video a thumbs up. Feel free to share. If you're not subscribed and you like what you hear, then please consider subscribing. It is super duper easy. You just click a little button. Anyway, number 1 is sales or free shipping offers or points multipliers. So basically, this mostly applies to things that American Girl does. I guess Amazon as well. But yeah, sometimes that influences us to buy. I mean, Captain Obvious, right? That is the entire point. Sales are designed to get us to buy things. Discounts are designed to get us to buy things, which can be helpful if you were already planning on buying something. Like, I know I'm buying XYZ doll for my wife for her birthday. Then it would be wise for me to wait for some kind of sale, like a buy more, save more, or free shipping, or a points multiplier, or something like that, as a Barry member with AG. But it can be toxic if you end up buying things that you didn't even really want or you don't have the money for, right? Like on sale can still be too expensive if you don't have the money. And most of us have been there or we have witnessed it. So the moral of this one is, if you have a planned purchase, then yeah, keep an eye out for those promos. But otherwise, tread carefully. It's okay to let a sale come and go. Sometimes you think you're taking advantage of the sale, and really the sale is taking advantage of you. So just be careful. Number 2 is rarity. And by the way, if I did this according to plan, I recorded the audio first and then I came back in and added visuals. But hopefully you are seeing some of my beautiful dolls and some random scenes of dolls having some weak tea while I share this video with you. That's the theme. So rarity is number 2. It's not even about which dolls or outfits are genuinely rare, because there are some really rare outfits that nobody cares about. But there's just this air of like rarity in italics that sometimes settles over a doll or an outfit, and it somehow influences collectors to want the thing, whether it's a doll or an outfit or an accessory. If you like something that happens to be rare, cool. I love my JLY 45s. We have 2 of them because I love them. Not because they're rare, I just happen to think that they're beautiful dolls. So, yeah, if you can take honest stock, like be honest with yourself, and if you're like your collection or your wish list, I genuinely like this thing and it just happens to be rare, that's fine. Or maybe the current it girl is on your wish list, not because she's rare, but because you weren't aware of her before. I think current it girl number 48 is experiencing that right now. People are like, yeah, she's genuinely cute. She just wasn't on my radar before. And now, people are saying, she's so hard to find. She's gorgeous. It was so hard to find her. I'm so glad I got her. And now the prices are going up. And, we do have to acknowledge that there are some folks out there pining over dolls that aren't particularly unique or particularly cute. They just want them because people are fussing about their rarity. If you genuinely believe that 6.1 is beautiful, that's cool. But I know that there are people who are getting jacked up, faded, very TLC 6.1s for a little or a lot of money, and being excited just to have bragging rights to be able to say, I have this rare doll. Honestly, I would wager that a lot of people's 6.1 fascination is tied to that idea of rareness. And it's not just her, right? Somehow when the community decides this doll is rare, the idea of having some kind of flex or a taste of being elite by having a rare doll just takes over sometimes. Personally, give me Claudie Wells over a 6.1 any day of the week. I've held a 6.1 in my hands. Give me Claudie. There are things that we want that happen to be rare. And in those cases, I think rarity is not only not toxic, it's not even the influence, like not even an influencer. You just like something and it happens to be rare. But if you find yourself spending an obscene amount of money or contemplating it for a doll that you don't even genuinely find appealing just because it's rare, then maybe rarity has become a toxic influencer. Number 3 is completionism. This refers to wanting all of a certain aspect of these dolls. So it might be wanting to have all of the historicals or all of the Girl of the Years or Addie's entire collection or all of the dolls' pajamas. The list could go on, right? I know that for a lot of collectors, completionism is a significant influencer. And I think most of the time that's harmless. Everybody has some way of approaching their collection, deciding what their goals are as a collector. And I think that completionism is valid. But if you find yourself buying things that you don't like or even actively dislike just because I have a compulsion that I need to complete this collection, it might be worth examining and reconsidering. Like, what would it feel like to alter that collecting goal to say, I want to have everything that I like of Samantha's collection instead of I need everything in her collection? Or I want all of the Girl of the Year dolls that I connect with and like. Yeah. Completionism is not it's not a trait that I really possess. I don't have any issue with it though, unless it means you're buying things that you actively dislike. And that does happen. I know it because I've witnessed it, and that's kind of mind-boggling to me. Anyway, number 4 is novelty. New releases, new stuff coming out. It's exciting, right? Of course. But do new releases also end up pushing some people to buy things that they're not even interested in just because they're new? Yes. Decidedly, inarguably, yes. Especially where social media and collecting overlap. Like, the more connected you are to the doll community on social media, the more at risk you might be of this happening to you. Because being the first unboxing video after a new release will get you more views than if you post that exact same video a month or two later. Or posting pics of your newly released items on your AGIG will generate more likes and comments than if you posted that same thing when the novelty has subsided. I think this one can be really insidious. It definitely can be toxic. I will never be a brand ambassador for AG, so I don't mind saying this twice. You don't have to have everything that comes out the minute it comes out. In the long run, it's not going to make you a happier collector because you were first. It's not going to make you enjoy the collection more. There's nothing inherently valuable about getting it first. Okay, number 5. It's cheap. This could overlap with the sales and promos and free shipping and points multipliers that I talked about first, but I think it's a standalone point as well because it also relates to sales in American Girl Facebook groups or eBay or Mercari or thrift store finds and Facebook Marketplace and yard sales and not just AG's website. And since I am not a 1%er, yeah, I'm mindful of the cost of things. I got a budget. I know that cheap talks to me. Cheap speaks my language. I hear cheap over new. I hear cheap over rare. Cheap speaks to me and speaks to me loudly. And often that's okay. Like, I've bought things I wasn't planning on getting just because it was cheap. I've gotten a lot of items I thoroughly enjoy. Some I've fixed up and donated or given to others or, resold or just kept for myself. But like everything on this list, cheap is an influencer that can be toxic. If you end up buying things that more than you have money for or more than you have space for, or you buy so many cheap things that they add up to expensive, or you buy things that you don't really like just because they were cheap. Like Novelty, I think this one can be particularly dangerous. I often find myself actively resisting this one. Like, that's a really great price, but I don't need it. Like on Facebook Marketplace, that's a really good price, but I don't need it. Oh my gosh, what an amazing deal. Somebody is going to be really happy to get that, but I don't need it. I can pass it up, even though it was cheap. This one is probably my personal biggest one. Number 6 is ignorance. Specifically, being ignorant about how much you're spending, not knowing how much you're spending. Ignorance is bliss, right? But if the bliss is temporary and the reality that you're going to eventually have to face will be worse the longer you choose ignorance, then this particular influencer can be toxic. Choosing not to track your doll-related spending, that can allow people to imagine that they're spending less than they really are, which will influence them to spend even more. So I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but if you do want my life advice, track your doll-related spending. You can tell yourself some lies that will land you in a heap of trouble if you just bury your head in the sand and refuse to really look at what you're spending. Know what you're spending on this hobby, passion, obsession, whatever it is to you. Number 7 is FOMO, fear of missing out. Earlier, I mentioned novelty, and I think that sometimes these two overlap, but FOMO does not only kick in for new stuff. So that's why I put it as a separate point. It'll kick in for non-new items like, I don't want to miss out on this thing that's now marked limited quantities on the AG website, or I've heard a rumor that this doll is going to be retired, and so I'm going to go ahead and get it because I'm afraid of missing out. And this is tricky because nobody can guarantee that you wouldn't, in fact, miss out. And maybe if you missed out, the price to buy the thing would be a lot higher on the resale market. But I still think that FOMO can be a toxic influencer. To make sure it's not negatively impacting you, I would suggest being clear about what you want and why. Know in advance what you've spent and what you have money for, and take a minute to plan if you are buying something just out of FOMO. So, for example, when the limited edition princess dolls came out, maybe you were like, I want the Belle doll, and now she's listed at limited quantities. I don't have the money for her right now, but I'm afraid I'm going to miss out on her because she might sell out before I do have the money. I'm going to, and then what's your plan? I'm going to sell some of the doll accessories I'm not using right now so that I can make enough money to buy her. Or I'm going to go ahead and buy her now, but know that that will eat up my doll spending budget for the next month or two. Or et cetera, et cetera. I don't know your situation. Maybe you can pick up a few extra hours at your job. Maybe you have a yard sale. Maybe you have a birthday or an anniversary or something coming up, and you can maybe ask your partner or a family member or whatever if they would be willing to get it for you as an early present and hold back. I don't know. I don't know what's appropriate for you, but what is appropriate is having a plan, because I was afraid of missing out, so I bought it is not the same thing as a plan. The fear is not a plan. So, yeah. FOMO could be an influencer, but without a plan, it could be a toxic influencer. I guess is the best way to say that. So those are my 7. That's what I came up with. And like I said, I'm sure there are more. I do hope that this doesn't come off as preachy or judgy. I do not mean it that way at all. Like I certainly said, these are some of them that impact me more. Impact me more than others. Not up here being like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm immune to these things. But I think it could be a healthy discussion, a helpful discussion. Like, how can we resist the toxic aspect of these influencers? Because they're present, influencing us. Also, this video is in ASL. Hope you enjoyed that. There's a playlist of all my videos that are in American Sign Language. My goal is to post one of those a month. Viewers who do rely on American Sign Language and enjoy that, as opposed to just captions, have requested this, and that's why I do it. There's plenty more if you enjoyed this video. I will throw a playlist and a video on the screen so you can binge watch to your heart's content. But also, I post regularly, so I'll be back within about a week. All right, thanks. Bye.